Dawson Rider Wiki.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here with my review of Power Rangers Super Ninja Steel Episode 17, Happy to Be Me. Wonder what the moral of this week is, guys. So yeah, this was, again, as most of the episodes are going to be, sans probably the finale from what we read, are just a fillery episode, not from actual fillery. That would be interesting. But what's funny about this one is that it was basically like a standard filler plot, but like we got two big introductions of things in it. We got introduced to the Poncho mode for Gold Ranger, and then the Blaze Megazord version of the Ultrazord, that formation. And it's weird because I feel like there's been this tradition. I mean, to be fair, I've gone back and watched older seasons, and sometimes there wasn't as big of a fanfare made out of introduction of things. But I feel like in particular in the Neo Saban era, a lot of things get really lackluster introduction where they're just kind of introduced like nothing. Like, I kind of miss when we had bigger introductions for things, just because it was always fun to have more of a build-up around it. It made it feel more like an event rather than just a thing that happened to, well, happen. And it's also weird, like, the way characters will get power-ups, like, that are on their own just because, like, you know, for, like, Supercharge, obviously, and stuff like that, Red just got the power-up because, like, we know in the meta-narrative, Red Ranger always gets, like, the Battleizer, the main power-up type stuff. But, like, in the show, it always makes no sense when they're like, oh, I just, you know, you're gonna get a power-up, but no one else gets it. Like the Poncho, like, oh yeah, Levi, you're gonna get this new mode. But for some reason, we don't want to give it to anyone else. But there was really no build-up to it. Like, I kind of wish, not like there would be a huge, like, knitting story for the Poncho, but I feel like it could have been a better Levi-focused episode, other than just, like, here, I'm gonna make this Poncho for you, and then you're gonna get it at the end because it was your focus episode about learning a lesson. And then, like, the Blaze Megazord formation didn't necessarily need a big introduction because we already know, like, the Ultrazord, so, but, you know, still, it was just like, hey, let's try this. But yeah, I just kind of wish there was a little more something to it, mainly because it could make the episode feel more important. Because this episode's premise was basically, like, accepting yourself and others for who they are. That was the core lesson, because they used last week's thing where they stole the Fusion Star, but they were like, oh, we can't use it without their voice activation, so they stole Levi's voice. They gave him a voice that was like, hey lady, like kind of similar yet worse than the Dino Thunder kids. Kind of sounded like the annoying Toku fan voice I do when I do like, oh, Sendai's mature and dark for adults. Like when I do that voice, it was like that voice. So they gave that to him, and then they try to fix it, and Preston uses like a dark magic thing, and it turns him into a kid. So he's just auditioning for Dino Thunder Kid. Didn't get the part. No one can be Dino Thunder Kid but Dino Thunder Kid. And, you know, he's just kind of going around. He gets excluded from a soccer game, and this little redhead girl says, like, oh, it's okay, cold blimey, they let me out too, because my hair. I don't shoot that. Oh, Vegemite. Like, it was more like, you know, trying to do, you know, American accent. It was funny, though, because I felt like when Levi had the voice, it sounded different than the kid. It sounded like they dubbed over the kid's voice, like meshed it, because like I could still hear some Kiwi accent in it. Unless that's always been there. I just felt like in particular I could hear like the accent over the weird voice when he was the kid. But yeah, basically it was about accepting yourself and, you know, pretty par for the course PR stuff. It led to kind of a sweet ending when he went back as Levi to see the girl because apparently she was a fan of his. Go figure, with his super basic song. Like, it's like the most obvious song for just the message they're trying to get across whenever they use it. But it was really funny because, like, Levi goes and sits by the girl, and then of course you have all most of the Super Megaforce Rangers, the Super Ninja Steel Rangers sitting around like, you know, I'm like, okay, we're gonna do a song. We've done this formation like 5 times already this season where they sing a cheesy song and they look like a bunch of dorks sitting around smiling like that, like Pleasantville. I'm like, okay, I'm ready for it. And all of a sudden he's like, soccer ball. I'm like, okay. Like, it made sense given the premise of when they met, but it was just funny. Like, I was waiting for the guitar and he just pulled the soccer ball out. But it was kind of a sweet ending, even if everything was a little bit convenient that, like, she happened to be inspired by his song. But yeah, and there could have actually been, I think, an interesting bit where, because he's like, oh, blimey, I don't mind being a kid again. I don't even know what voice that was, but like, I don't know why blimey just keeps happening, but where he was like, oh, I could just do the whole kid thing again. There actually could have been an interesting bit there if they focused more on the fact that Levi really didn't have much of a childhood because his family disappeared or was kidnapped, and then he grew up like on his own and then became a pop star. Like, there could have been an interesting character bit there. Both him and Brody actually have really interesting background stories that they just never do anything with. Like, there's especially for Brody, who more or less grew up as like an alien slave, and then he's just like, epic! I'm like, don't you have any? That's probably just hiding all the trauma. But yeah, there's a lot of missed potential there. But yeah, there's not too much else to talk about. Victor and Monty had this weird storyline about thinking that they were getting sick and they got put in hazmat suits. That was a thing. But yeah, it was a pretty average episode. The footage of the poncho fight was pretty, I guess. But that's about it. Overall, you know, fine episode. I'd give it a 6. You know, nothing that I was too mad about, but nothing that I was jumping out of my seat for. Again, this here is a run out the clock situation. Alright, until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and of course, don't forget to climb the steps and ring that bell so you get the notifications for all my videos. Dawson Rider, signing out.